Today I was supposed to be making some more workshop storage, my project for today, but it turns out I haven't got the right materials and I'm still having trouble getting things delivered, so I'm going to try instead making another Gremlin. I'm going to try and make the spanner thief Gremlin that I mentioned in a previous video. I found a spanner which is clearly broken. This was in my back of my tool drawer. It's also a bit rusty, but I'll clean that up before I've finished. So that's going to be the spanner. And I've been trying to work out the pose for this figure. If I had to lift, this is going to be probably 1.5 or 2 times the size of the figure. So if I had to pick up something like that was perhaps 10 or 12 feet long, how would I do it? And I'm thinking the pose is either going to be holding onto it this way and dragging, pulling on it, or it's going to be picked up like this and dragging that way. I think I'm going to try that pulling pose. I'm not sure how well it'll go. If not, I can always make the other one anyway. I've got plenty of nuts and bolts. So let's get some hardware and make a start. Okay, so I've been through the boxes of assorted parts and I've selected some suitable sizes. I'm actually going to make this a bit bigger than I first thought. I've selected a 5/16 bolt, a 1/2 inch nut and a few 1/4 inch ones to make the arms and legs. So the next thing is to lay those out and just check the proportions of the figure, make sure it all works. So just for checking proportions, I'm going to start with that larger bolt for a body. We'll put its head on. I'll have a couple of these for arms. They may be a little long, but we'll see. The thing about the arms is that they have to be bent to shape. And there's the legs. There you go, the little stick man. He's perhaps a little bit long in the legs and the arms, but by the time I've shaped them a bit, hopefully that's going to work out. There is one extra part I do need that I haven't mentioned. That's I need to make a base for this little figure to stand on. So I've just pulled this odd shaped scrap of steel out of the scrap box. I'll clean that up and that will make a nice base. I'll start by making the legs for this little figure. I need to get the pose right, and I think for pulling something behind you, his legs are going to be kind of one nearly straight and the other a little more bent, like the weight's going forward. So I need to get that right. Then his body will lean forward slightly, and I'll work out the arms afterwards, I think, but that's that's a start. I get the legs right first and put the body on. Bending these pieces of hardware to make the legs and the arms. Shaping things is a fairly crude method I use, which basically means clamping this in a vise and hitting it with a hammer until it comes out approximately the right shape. Now that's got the knee joint a little bit too far down, really. Or up, actually that's upside down. The knee joint's a little too far up. I think it'll do the job. I'll just give that a little more tweak a bit further. Yeah, I think that's one. Let's try the other one. This one I think needs a bit less bend to it. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, I think that will do. So that is, you can see that, that is the legs and body. So the next thing to do is the arms. So I'm thinking his right arm needs quite an acute bend to support the the spanner it'll be carrying. Could do with being even more than that really, but I'm not sure I can do that. Ah. Seems to be working. I'm not keen on working with things that have a lot of tension like that, but that does seem to be working. Oh, now the bolt's starting to split, so that's the limit of how far I can bend it. Actually, that's about right. It's a nice crooked arm. The other one should be something, I'm not sure actually. Now I think about it, I may have done that. That may work for the other arm actually. I think I maybe need less of a bend in his right arm and more in the left now I think about it. So we'll give that a go. Okay, let's try that on the figure and see what it looks like. Let's trial this then. Let's try. You need one arm to support the. That's going to need a bit more of a bend because he has to support that with one hand. Let's try this side. That's the first one I made. That actually isn't terrible. Maybe that will work. In which case this one needs to come across. Maybe I need to take a little bit of the bend out of that so it sits a bit lower at that point. I'll go and do that. Things like this are always a matter of trial and error really. Just trying to get the pose right. Yeah, that's the one. So that goes like that. And you can carry this something like that. Get my fingers out of the way. I do need to get some better clamps for this. This is a jury-rigged arrangement using some electronics fine working clamps, and that's the battery terminal from a car battery charger. It kind of does the job, but I really need to find a better way of doing it. Okay, that's one side. And then the other hand goes, yeah, just like that. You probably can't see that from there, but I'll show you in a moment. this welder of mine tends to feed through a little bit too much wire after you stop welding, so I have to trim it off every time. Right. Oh yes, it always works better if you switch it on. I just turn that around, put this back. I think that's not too bad. See from the side as well. So it just needs a head now. And that weld isn't taking for some reason. It's taking onto this piece, but not that one. Okay, so I've cleaned up that mess. The bad weld left a big blob of metal on there, which I've ground off, cleaned it all up, and I've also cleaned the nut I was trying to weld, because there must have been something on the surface, I think, that was stopping the weld taking into the metal. It just hasn't penetrated into the metal there at all. So I'm going to see how that goes. We'll get that put back together, see whether I don't do any better this time. Success, his head stays on. I'm not sure whether I want to weld this in here or not. Let me turn this round again. As you can see. I don't know whether I should weld that in there. Let's see how the spanner cleans up. If that coating will come off it, I might weld it. So I've cleaned up this spanner now, got the rust off it. There's still quite a lot of the original chrome finish on there, which will probably make it difficult to weld. And also, I think if I weld that onto the figure, it's going to make it very difficult to paint the figure later. So what I'm going to do is leave that off and probably just glue that on as an accessory later. So what I need to do now is to just clean up a bit of weld spatter that's got stuck to there and around the base. Give that a degreasing, clean it all up, wash it, dry it, and be ready for painting. Good morning. Hopefully the primer I sprayed last night has dried overnight, so we should be able to paint this little figure today. I'll start with the base and work my way up, I think. I can't do two adjacent colours at the same time. I need to do one colour and let that dry before I do the adjacent one. So I'm going to do alternate sections, so probably the base, then the legs but not the feet, and then maybe the arms. Then I'll probably have to let that dry before I can do the next round. These paints haven't been used for a while, so I'm making sure they get a good shake. Okay. That's a bit orange. I was expecting more of a brown shade, but we'll see what colour it dries to. This might not be the most exciting video I've ever done. Not that any of them are very exciting. The jar says it's specialist enamel thinner for these paints. It isn't. These actually turn out, they thin quite nicely with white spirit, mineral spirits. I believe not all enamels are the same, but these ones certainly work quite well. I'm just trying to go around the bottom of the leg without getting blue paint on the feet, which will be a different colour eventually. I'd like to learn some weathering techniques eventually. Maybe not for these figures, but I've never done any weathering. Probably it's about time I did. Maybe I'll get hold of some basic plastic kits and have a go at those. Yep, there we are. The other problem with using these enamel paints and the spirit thinners, it ruins your brushes. I think it dries the bristles. And after a while, that one's going. See, it's a bit splayed. After a while, they end up like that, which is they were the same type of brush. You can't really do fine work with that. I'll try some acrylic paints one of these days. Let's see how they work on here for this job. I'd also like to try some lacquer based paints because They dry a lot faster. Get the thing finished a lot quicker. Okay, so I can't do the jacket. I can't do his arms either because that will be one colour for like a jacket and sleeves. So it's hands and feet then. Also, I find it best to apply the metallics sort of in a sort of dabbing motion rather than if you brush them, you can get streaks in the metal, the flakes in it. You end up with these weird patterns. I think that's about it. For the head anyway. You can see, you may not be able to see the difference in colour. It's actually quite close to the grey of the primer, but once it's dry, the metallic obviously is a gloss finish which brings it up somewhat. Okay. So we just need some hands. It's always a bit tricky because there's no defined break until I paint the arm. There's no defined break between the hand and the arm. Right. That's as far as I can go for now. That's going to take several hours to dry now. And I'll probably come back this evening, do some more. Much later in the day and much warmer. Start with the body, I think. Let's choose, see if I can find a red. I think that would be a good option. Gonna have to fix this brush someday. I'm trying to be systematic and do the same part on both sides. Doesn't matter, but it helps me keep track of where I've got to. Otherwise it's easier to end up with a piece not painted. Paint on his head is only just dry actually, and it's been, what, 5 hours or so since I did the first lot. If I get black on the base, I'll have to repaint the base. Where his foot's lifted up at the back, I'm going to have to try and paint under it. That's going to be a little awkward. Okay, I'm going to leave that now overnight, and then tomorrow I'll put a second coat on it. That is more or less, I don't know where the frame is on the camera, but that's more or less it. Time to glue up this last part and finish this figure, I've got some CA, this is cyanoacrylate adhesive, super glue, and I'm hoping I can just spot some of this on. I don't know whether it's going to be strong enough to support the weight of this metal spanner, but we'll find out, I guess. Just putting a spot on, trying to get it to run down into the gaps. The thing about cyanoacrylate is that it attacks the paint, so I don't want to get it anywhere that it's not needed. Well, I've got 3 spots in the 3 places that it contacts. I'll give that a few minutes and we'll see how it turns out. Well, here we are, a few minutes later, and it's worked. There's the little figure. Put him there. I'll try and do some close-ups when I've finished here. But there he is, carrying his spanner. That's another one for the collection. As always, thank you for watching this. I'm quite enjoying making these videos. If you like what I'm doing, please press the appropriate button wherever it is and let me know, because if I know, I make these videos because I want to do these things anyway, but if I know what everyone likes, then I can look at making more of those things. I'll be back with another video fairly soon. Bye.